not all of not everybody here has one of their loved ones that has. Sorry, I have tablets next to me that keep beeping. Apologies. um, she's here to help present how to read behavior data in eye care. For those that do not have your loved one that has a behavior plan, it just join along and just watch over as it's good stuff to learn because data is always fun. So let me pass it over to Sierra. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks, Ryan. So again, I'm Sierra Barkley Cutting. I am a behavior analyst here at the ARC of Prince George's County. I joined the team in October, and it's been a whirlwind of a year. And I'd say one of the big tangibles that I was able to accomplish within that first year is setting up our electronic data collection. And so what we're going to talk about is just the ins and outs of behavior support, like Ryan said. Give you guys a few screenshots of what our system looks like. And then if you have any questions, we can talk about it. And it doesn't just have to be about data collection. It can be about behavior support services in general. Cool beans? All right, let's go. All right, so first I wanted to talk about just kind of what the components of behavioral support services are, just so we can have a little bit of a lay of the land. And so generally when we are talking behavior support services, we start with the behavioral assessment, which is when we are doing our direct observations or indirect observations, just getting a lot of background information about a person, understanding their likes, dislikes, what have you. From there, we're able to write a behavior support plan that has goals. Generally, we are working to reduce some of those more challenging behaviors while increasing the behaviors we want to see more of. And within that, there is behavioral consultation and brief support implementation services. And so I won't go too deep into these. These slides will be shared with you all at the end. But I really want to key in on behavioral consultation. And I want to key in on that because this is essentially the service that is the oversight and monitoring of the behavior plan. And so earlier I was talking with I can't see people's names right now, but I was speaking with someone earlier and we were talking about the direct training and things like that. And that is a huge component of behavioral consultation. We make recommendations during this time, and we even do ongoing assessment beyond the initial one, just to keep checking in on our hypotheses and is the reason why the behavior occurring what we thought it was when we first did our assessment. So we'll do all those different things. But what's most important is this is all data driven. So every day that your loved one is being supported by their DSP or by other providers, there will be, if they have a behavior support plan, a place on their ICM, which is eye care, for their provider to put in the information on just how their day went. So if we're tracking different things and we're able to see how a person is doing, we're able to make, of course, data-driven decisions. So it's not enough for us to just assume that this is the reason why something is happening. We want to make sure that we're able to see the trends over time. And so that gets us to the data collection. Okay, so why does data collection matter? Number one, we want to make sure that we understand the antecedents, which is an overly complicated word for just what's happening before the behavior. So when we're able to identify the most frequent antecedents or triggers, depending on your school of thought, we're able to kind of key in on what is bothering our person, what is making it more likely that these behaviors will happen. When we understand those things, we can start to adjust, maybe remove some of those if it's reasonable. Do you have to put your shoes on right now, or can we get to the car and then put them on there? As a very small example. We also want to track interventions. So as I said earlier, a big part of behavioral consultation is one, looking at the data, but as we change up our strategies, we want to see, hey, now that we are prompting Miss X to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, are we seeing an increase in the behaviors or are things going down? So that way we're able to say, when we do this, this happens. When we do that, that happens. This also lets our staff tell us, as the consultant who's not there every day, exactly what is or is not working. And so with this, we can see data over time and also identify patterns. So we go beyond how frequently the behavior is happening, but we also start to look at times of day. Are Sundays at 11 o'clock just really rough? Or are we noticing that when day program is canceled, Mr. J is engaging in these behaviors more often? Or maybe when he's working with this person on shift, we're always seeing this pattern. And so when we're able to see that, we can key in, check in with our staff, see if additional training is needed, and make the adjustments we need to ultimately ensure that our folks are feeling happy, safe, and engaged. And last, we want to use data collection to celebrate progress. For me, it's not enough to see a huge stack of ABC charts, which is essentially, writing out how often behaviors are happening, so on and so forth. If we see a graph where we've seen 0 instances of behavior for, let's say, a week, if we're seeing, even if it's not a 0, if we went from doing it 12 times a day to doing it 10, 11, however many times a day, we should use that data to celebrate with our folks. And what I mean is really saying like, hey, you're having a really good week. Have you noticed things are going much better with this going on? How are you feeling? Does this feel nice to you? Just really making this a holistic sort of intervention where we're closing the loop. So we're not just sitting here just tallying up their behaviors and, kind of keeping it in the background, but we also want to make sure that we are acknowledging when things are changing and trying to make that more obvious to the people that we're supporting. So in short, behavior data is essential for understanding the how and why of challenging behaviors. So that way we can make those informed decisions and improve outcomes. Any questions before I keep going? I can't see the screen. So Ryan, if you see anybody, let me know. Okay, cool beans. Let's keep going. All right, so what does this look like at the Arc of Prince George's County? All right, now this is kind of small. I'm so sorry, guys. Bear with me. I'll see if I can't zoom it in. But again, this will be shared so you all can see it a little bit closer. I do apologize for the zoom out. But on our iCare Manager, which is our electronic data collection system, this is where that daily documentation is and all that good stuff. We also now have the behavior plans there. So what you'll see, and this is Mickey Mouse, that's our training person, but you'll see on your loved one's care tracker that however many behaviors they have, they will be on this care tracker. So in this case, I put disruptive behavior, and it's generally followed by both data collection and strategy. And so what that means is, essentially, it's set up in a way for our staff not just to take data, but to have components of the behavior plan as written by the consultant that are added to the specific data collection so that they can see what they could be doing to help support a person through that behavior, as well as the proactive and preventative strategies that they can use specific to that behavior to help the person through. So it's almost like kind of like an interactive way of having the behavior plan so that our staff have what they need when they need it. But yes, so on the care tracker, DSPs or family members can click on either time that is relevant to their loved one. So that can be the time of day, which is morning, or it can be as needed. And from here, we have this. Sorry, I'm moving my little screens around. Okay, and from here we have another complicated looking page, okay? So what you all will see here is if we went from disruptive behavior, now we're looking at how to track it. And so it depends on the provider of the behavior plan. Everyone does things differently, but generally the plans coming from Arc of Southern Maryland, they are putting intensity levels. And so what that means is kind of the difference between, I would say if I'm clapping, this might be an intensity level 1, and then this might be a 2. And if I were to clap much louder, it'll be a 3 and a 4. And so what's important about that information is when we're able to give the consultants that kind of view, they're able to say, okay, we have 20 instances of disruptive behavior over the last 2 days. That's a lot, but we've been at intensity level 1. That's pretty typical for him. Versus we're seeing a lot of level 4s or intensity level 4s. We haven't seen that before. Do you all need consultation? Is everything okay? Have we had a change in staff? What have you? So it can get pretty complicated or complex within this. But again, the point is to really see, like, down to the minutia, to the nitty-gritties, the small building blocks of to what extent is this behavior happening? What is its effect on the person as well as the environment and those supporting them? From there, staff are able to put in what they did. And so you'll see this under the interventions used, ... and then there'll be verbal redirection or engaged in calming strategies, used planned ignoring, all these different strategies that are already written in the behavior plan. They're now here for the staff to know, hey, these are technically the things that you're supposed to be doing. So which one did you do? And if you did something different, you know, write down other and put it in the notes of exactly what you did to get through that situation. Additionally, we want to know not just what intervention you used, but what happened after you used those interventions throughout the day. So let's say of the 20-something disruptive behaviors, each time the DSP, they may have used verbal prompts and redirection, which maybe when they're filling this out, they'll click under results. I don't know if you all can see this on the right-hand side. They'll click on the results to say, hey, each time the incident stopped. All 20-something times the incident resolved on its own. And furthermore, the triggers that we saw were, you know, he was told no, and he wasn't happy with it, but he did accept it. And so that's essentially how we tell the picture. And this would be the data for a DSP's full shift. So they would put in everything that they saw, everything that they did, what all the end results were, and what all of the triggers and the antecedents were. Okay. All right, so where does this go? Now, this is where it gets really colorful, but I wanted you all to see exactly what I see on iCare. So here you're seeing pie charts, and coming up soon, you're going to see a line graph. But this is a very quick way for us to see where the ratios are going. So if you guys saw in the prior slide that, you know, we were talking about interventions used, the results of the interventions, all that good stuff. Well, here we can see the spread. And so by the spread, I mean, and again, these are a lot. Most people don't have this much on their stuff, but Mickey does. You'll be able to say, hey, I just put in this new verbal prompt redirection intervention. That one's in blue. How well is that going? This is the one that they've used 18% of the time. Okay, great. I'm going to go and look and see of those 18%, how many stopped the incident being reported? Or rather, how many times of those 18% did the results end in no further escalations?
Looks like Nick and Irene has a question.
Okay, yep, thank you.
Go ahead and meet yourself, Nick.
He's in a waiting room. Let me see.
Okay. Hello. On the previous slide, when where you have prompts and triggers,
Yes.
Are those boxes just checked, or is a number entered into them?
They just check these. That's a good question. They're just checked.
Okay. Well, but then if it's checked, say there are 20 incidents under readings, right? So that'd be the if you're doing the prompts, do you like check each time one of those prompts or results occurred?
So I think what I'm hearing, oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to get how you get from the number of incidents to the range of prompts that are here. For example, if you have 20 incidents, you might have 10 incidents stopped and 10 incidents escalated. But how would that be reflected?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you're speaking to kind of one of the limitations of this system. And so what it is giving us is a zoomed out view, and the data collected, it has to be cumulative, meaning we can't do it instance by instance because of how iCare is set up. So what it is that for, I think the example that you gave, if there were 10 here and then 10 there, and 10 of them are resolved and 10 escalated, we really wouldn't know what the ratio is, but we would know based off of the DSP's entries that some did escalate. And so that would trigger for the consultant or for me to look into the data and then ask the staff, like, hey, we haven't had escalations in over 3 months. What was going on? And then we can get a deeper look into that.
Okay, and under the prompts, you can check one or all of the boxes for any given,
Yep.
or it's, okay, so it could be 20 behaviors under occurrences, and then you might check every one of the prompts, but it's as to the breakdown, that wouldn't appear.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
exactly that.
Okay.
You would, yeah, everything that was used, every result, every trigger scene would all be entered at once, with the
Okay.
idea that the staff are entering this at the end of their shift. That's a good question.
All right, yeah, I'm just trying to understand the system.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Antecedents, interventions. Okay, yeah. So again, these are screenshots, but if I'm able to kind of go a little deeper into the system at the end of this, I can show you all how some of this information kind of opens up because it's not so static. I am able to kind of manipulate it and click on certain interventions or certain results to then see the days in which they occurred. And then I can go on the care tracker and see the staff's actual note for that day. And so from there, we're able to see a little bit more information. Again, these are just screenshots, but I do think that that's an overall limitation of the system of not being able to enter it line by line like we may want to. Okay, so next, now this is the frequency chart. And so in our last, a few back under readings, this is where we were putting the frequency data or how often the behavior was occurring. So when we do that, that comes out to this sort of graph. And so what you all can see is a graph that started April 2024 and it goes all the way to September. And so this is monthly data on how often different intensity levels of the behavior occurred, or excuse me, on the graph are the cumulative numbers overall, meaning intensity levels 1, 2, 3, and 4 combined for April, May, June, and so on. At the top, we are able to quickly see across intensity level 1, how many did we see from this time frame? How many did we see for intensity level 3 across these months? So on and so forth. So it is an interesting spread. And again, it's another way for us to kind of gather some insights as to what could be going on. There can be changes that we're aware of, like we know that staff turnover may happen. So that could attribute to the higher spikes that we may see for June on this graph. We may see that, hey, we did some norming and storming. We got to know each other. Now July, August, and September, all is golden. So it kind of just depends. Everybody looks at their graphs or handles them differently. But this is kind of the base that we start at. There are other dimensions of behavior that are of interest, particularly to pretty much any analyst, but we do look into duration. We do look into other more specific measurements of behavior. But to keep things simple for our staff, at least for the very beginning of interventions, we do want to just stick to the frequency data until our intervention needs kind of push us to that more complex data collection style. So yeah, that's the overview of that section. And I believe my next slide is Q&A. Do you guys have any other questions for me?
Open floor, everybody.
Would you all like to see
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse kind of, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, this is, I'm Krista McCoy's mother, okay? I don't know if anyone's contacted you about any behaviors, because I've had concerns. And so So when you get with the staff, or after you observe, I guess everything that's here in ICM, you contact them. Is that it? I mean, how does, what you
Yeah,
contact the
sure.
supervisor, you contact the staff. I mean,
Mhm.
what happens? And then how do I know how do I know what any results? Um, how do I know how do I get feedback,
Mhm.
after you have after you've made your recommendations, after you have made assessments and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that's mhm,
Yep. So people that are under my caseload that I have oversight over,
uh-huh.
I am monitoring their data on a weekly to monthly basis. And so it's kind of an ongoing conversation. The staff, oftentimes they're tagging me in things. And when I say tag, I mean they put like at Sierra and then it sends me an email and they're like, hey, there's a new behavior happening. What's this? So I would say that it is pretty reciprocal in that regard. The folks at Humanum or ARC of Southern Maryland, I can't speak to exactly how they are doing their consultation. And to be clear, the data was set up by me for everyone's plan, but ARC of Southern Maryland does not have access to this system directly. So they rely on reaching out. And like as a part of behavioral consultation is them reaching out to get the data and working with the team. And so they would need to kind of do that part in order to get the reports as they need to, kind of make their changes to the strategies. Um, and we are trying to move now to be more proactive in giving that data because prior we were kind of getting the data maybe just for the updates, which would be an annual situation. So we'd have those stacks of ABC forms that maybe no one had looked at for some time that would then have action put behind them, but pretty much to just update the behavior support plan. So we are trying to be more proactive on our end and share that data. Um, so
Excuse me, I mean, are we part of Southern Maryland? I mean, how does that work? Or no?
no,
Um,
we are not. So
uh-huh.
prior to, well, I should really say when we got our licensure, but prior to me joining the agency, we did not have internal behavior support services. So it was handled by an external provider who is the ARC of Southern Maryland and
Right.
also Humanum. And so they are their cases. And so now that I've joined, I am taking on all new intakes, but people who have existing relationships with ARC of Southern Maryland, we've kept it that way just so we wouldn't be disruptive to any ongoing relationships that were in place. We didn't want to disrupt it just because, hey, we've got this new shiny license. We really want the families to make that decision on their own, or if we absolutely have to meet as a team to figure out how to bridge that.
Okay, so I'm still a little bit unclear. Where are we? What side
Um,
of we?
well, if what you're asking is what side your daughter is on and
Yes.
just in general, so her consultant is from the ARC of Southern Maryland. And
Okay.
so all
Okay.
oversight and consultation is under, I believe it's Fitzroy.
That's
Um,
right.
and so yes, that is the primary point of contact as it relates to her behavior support plan, unless you deem otherwise.
Okay. Okay, so that's good to know. So she's still under okay. Now I think I understand a little bit better. So at this point, um you would not be the one to intervene or would you? You know? I mean,
It's
since she's under Southern Maryland. I
yes, I'm sorry.
no, that's it.
So I do house visits pretty regularly, and so I like to check in on people, see how they're doing. If I see something that's a little that I feel like maybe the staff need new training, or I know that someone has been assigned that I know for a fact hasn't had behavior support plan training, then I'll kind of tickle the line and make sure that that happens. If there are new behaviors that are popping up in documentation, or that the staff may report, or, you know, if when I'm visiting, I see something or experience something, I will say something. But at this point, just to stay within my boundaries and to not overstep, the decision for me to intervene has to be a team decision.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I was under the impression you are for the ARC of Prince George's County overall behavior team. Like that's what I'm thinking. You are the liaison between the behavior specialists, whoever have been there for the past, in my daughter's case, more than 10 years, ever since she joined. She always had a behavior plan. I mean, my daughter's always had. So it was from the DDA, we were recommended to Southern Maryland, and that's how we have been part of it. Now, my question is, there is a huge disconnect. If and when I ask, when are you training? I would like for you to participate in the PCP meeting. ARC does not initiate the, so I have, of course, by law, by our regs, they have to have the behavior plan go through the HR committee and then signed off and to implement and all of that. Even the training, it has been on me to check. Of course, they go there, they are supposed to check in once a month, I believe. I have no feedback. And in the past, I used to be part of the, because, home and community service, so they would go to the day services, residential, and my input. All three would be taken together to train so looks like all these questions are irrelevant to my daughter in this place, because right now I don't have, so this is for Ryan. Now that you have this wonderful iCare manager system, if I give permission to the ARC of Southern Maryland to look at the behavior data and train them, because you'll be training your DSPs, your clients. Okay, let's call your clients. You have your clients. They are not all the residential, but just your clients. If you're training the DSP according to the behavior plan, you'll be tracking the behavior data. So right now, is it possible, Ryan, to have access, just like you give access to me?
That's above my pay grade. To
All
answer
right.
that, I can look into that, but I'm leaning towards most likely no. Yeah. Because it's an internal system, it's a different agency, and giving them access, HIPAA, there's a lot of just compliance going into that. I will get a definitive answer, but I'm 99% sure.
Okay, so that's okay.
And
in that case, who from the ARC will be sharing this data with all these wonderful graphs and all the, criteria and all of that? Who in the ARC should be sending this information to the behavior therapist, or the person who will be developing the next PCP plan? That's when the new behavior plan will come, whenever that expires. But on a day-to-day basis, I feel like the DSP need training. They need reinforcements and reminders and all of that, because as you know, the behavior plan, the DSPs change, and even the existing behavior plan, they forget, or if it is not practiced, it's just not happening. So I don't know whether the question is, looks like for Ryan, or if you belong to a behavior team for the whole ARC, is there another person that we can go to in the ARC to implement the behavior plan? Do you have another person? You are only for the new clients.
Let's back up. Let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's back up and make sure we're on the same page with that. Their assigned consultant is responsible for the training. However, if there's a desire for more oversight, or you're finding that the services are not meeting the needs, then that can be discussed in any PCP meeting, which can be called at any time. So if you wanted to make a BSS provider change, or if you wanted to pursue assistive technology or anything like that, it would be the same. Two, the behavior plan data is regularly shared. Generally, it is starting to happen beyond just when it's time for behavior plan updates. But I just want to be clear that the ARC of Southern Maryland is getting the data. They may not be asking for it on the schedule of monthly and quarterly as per the DDA COMAR, and that's outside of our control, aside from us proactively giving them the data. In which case that has been the program managers pushing that. I help the program managers with that alongside our PCP coordinators. So I just want to make sure that we're clear that someone is looking at this data, that it has been passed along, and that something is moving and shaking with it. Now, as it relates to behavior support plan training, from my experience, it has been a one-a-year thing, or one time a year. They have been virtual. I think some have been in person as needed. But I think it comes down to, what are your needs at this time? What do you find that both your loved one as well as their support staff need? And then taking that question to, or asking for a PCP meeting to then discuss with the team how we can move forward in meeting that need.
Okay, so Sierra, so in other words, if we have any questions, or if I have any questions in terms of you know, what I'm seeing in the ICM in terms of behavior. So what should I be asking for a meeting, a PCP meeting, rather than just talking with the supervisor and saying, look, I think this needs to be addressed. I think since since you have there's a new behavior specialist, I think someone needs to come in, look at things, see what can be changed, if things are not quite right, and or if there are things that can be done to enhance or just make things better. So should that be in another meeting or something? I mean, I'm wondering now, because I've gone to the supervisor and asked, and so now, and of course I'm in limbo because I have no clue in terms of what's going on. But should this be in a PCP meeting? Is there something more formal that should happen rather than me just just making a request and saying, look, I think you all need to look at this. I'm concerned, and
Is
I
this
would.
more of looking for you to utilize Sierra services, or other, or them just the ARC of Southern Maryland re-looking at your loved one, like
Well, see, like I said, I didn't know that there were two. I was told, hey, we're getting someone, and now because
Oh.
there's been an overload, so we're getting someone, and boom,
So,
now we can.
yes. Yes. So, I mean, what Sierra was saying is, yes, you can speak up and talk with the CCS coordinator, and hey, I would like a meeting. I'm looking to change providers. If you're not happy with the current ARC of Southern Maryland, you have the right to speak up, announce during a PCP meeting, and Sierra, cross me if I'm saying anything wrong, but essentially at the PCP meeting, you can decide, does the behavior support services that you're having right now, are you satisfied? If not, would you want to switch providers? And, yeah, to that extent.
Yes.
No,
Yes. And
I got you. I just, it's just, as someone asked before, are they getting the information? Are they really getting the information? You know what I'm saying? Are they really up to date in terms of what's going on with our loved ones?
And
yeah, and
that's
I think
correct.
that's important to keep in mind. And I'm always going to err on the side of, give the consultant a chance, for lack of a better statement. And I say that because we're coming off of, you know, fresh off the pandemic era where things were very virtual, very hands off. I think they may have gotten used to a certain, you know, role. They are in a consultative model. And so what that means is they do not need to check in every single day. And well, yeah, they do not have to check in every single day. And I think with them being in a completely different place and not in the buildings with us or in the programs with us, that there's just a level of just hands off that is there. And so we are pushing for that culture to be kind of reciprocal, where we're giving them the information proactively, but we're also asking them like, hey, you wrote this behavior plan. The COMAR says you should be checking in quarterly if it's an existing plan. The COMAR says you should be checking monthly if it's a new plan. Those are things that they're well aware of as providers. So it's a two-way street, right? It's kind of, oh, PG didn't give us the info, but it's also, well, did you reach out? And so we've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes to firm up our contacts list, to make sure that people aren't just calling and not leaving a voicemail, but sending emails and CCing proper people and not CCing people that have left the agency. There's been a lot of kind of systems level work that we had to fix. So I think the short answer I have is get it in writing. I think we've done a lot of, you know, phone communication or even face to face, but just having receipts to back up that, hey, in October and November or whatever, I reached out to this person and this person. The behavior analyst is CC'd, their assigned consultant is CC'd. I've put everybody on this channel to say, hey, I want to meet about the data. And if we are unable to meet your needs at that point, follow up 30, 60, 90 days, then it's a PCP meeting of saying, hey, I'm not convinced that we're getting the support that we need. And then we can go from there. I realize that this is like kind of confusing, but the hope is that we can either kind of firm and more solidify the existing relationships and or transition them if needed. Because there are some folks that have a triple digit caseload at ARC of Southern Maryland, and they kind of remind us of that, so I feel comfortable saying it. And so that's a lot of people for you to also not be at the same company. So just things for us to consider. And the Haluchis, I saw that you all had your hand raised at some point.
Well, I wanted to know what the future plan is. Are we going to eventually move all of the behavior plans over to our organization for development, you know, as the provider? And if so, one person can't handle them all. So what do we have in mind for the future?
Yeah, looking to the future, I say number one, we want to make sure that it is the team's decision. We want to center everything around our participants and what you all's needs are. It's one thing for me as a clinician with my training and my education to say, I'm not sure about that, but it's important for you all to say that as well. And so I'm not trying to take anyone from anyone or transition anyone without it being a team decision for each person.
Right.
So
there are the benefits of having someone in-house. Yeah, the continuity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so are we shooting for that? Is that something that, you know, I know you don't want to take work away from, but if the other consultants have triple digit caseloads, then, you know, there may be need for us to have our own in-house people who are more familiar with our people and to have these plans written in-house. So is that something that we're planning for in the future?
I mean, we don't, going back to what Sierra was saying, like, we don't, so the ARC of Southern Maryland, they're another business. So, you know, think of it kind of retail, like, in a sense, I know it just make it easier, but like, we don't want to kind of take their customers and to that extent. So like, we're not forcing, we want to, you know, we want you to come to us as you see, if you think we're a better fit, if that makes sense. So we're not,
and as different people come to you because we think you're a better fit, then this department will expand?
Oh yeah, I'm
Is
100%.
that what we're
like
getting at? Okay.
When Sierra came, you have no idea how happy I was when I saw that we were hiring a behavior analyst, and she is extremely smart. Like Sierra's great, and we're gonna definitely have a lot more of her. I can see in the future, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. I do just want to say, and I'm careful with my words because there's an ethical aspect to this as a clinician that I have to keep in mind, and just a professional courtesy.
Yes.
That again, it's all about what you all's needs are. So if you're ringing the bell for me, I'm going to come. That is no question. Okay. I'm not fighting that. I'm not avoiding that at all. I just want to make sure that it's not being seen, or it can't be in any way seen as if I have come in and I'm like, oh no, and now I'm just taking everybody.
Understood.
Yeah.
Hello, I have a question. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Ms. Hardy. I don't understand why not ARC contract as many specialists that we need for our children, for our family. I don't know whether I don't know whether this needs to be addressed to someone higher up. I don't understand why we had to get someone, from, I guess, contract them out, okay, to serve as our children. But why can't ARC get together, the higher ups, whoever, to say, okay, we're going to hire this, or if it's just one organization and have as many as needed to service our children.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hardy. I will say, just nationwide, there's a shortage of licensed counselors, social workers, BCBAs. There's a shortage of quite a few practitioners that fall within the behavior support services umbrella. So that's number one. Number two, even fewer of us are trained or able to be supervised or mentored within the adult IDD population. So that narrows it further. I believe they were looking for about 2 years before they were able to hire me. And so I think with that, it is difficult to have someone with all those credentials and then a good fit for just the demands of our programs. And so it's definitely not lost on our executive leadership. I know this for a fact, just talking with Thalia and Rob all the time. They're always looking for someone else. Right now, there's pressure for us to, get even RBT or DSP BSS staff, which is something that we're trying to work on in-house to really build that capacity from within as opposed to hiring from outside. But I think that's a wonderful question, which is why I want to put more pressure on our leadership to build our internal staff up. So they're the folks that have been working for 5+ years without on-site behavior analysts, they come with a wealth of their own experience. And so I want to really kind of put them up and get them more education, get them more certifications, and empower them to be the leaders that they are within BSS. Just right now it's unofficial. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it does answer my question. My concern is, I know my daughter, she's the team's supposed to be working and trying to get her a behavior specialist, because at the time that I was dealing with them, they said, well, they didn't have a specialist. Now I see that they have one, so I'm not sure whether, you guys are working on her behavior plan or not, because I haven't heard anything.
Oh, okay. And if we can speak offline, I try my best not to limit the PHI that we have on these, especially since we're doing a recording. Okay, but I just dropped my email. Are you able to see the chat? It looks like you're on a phone. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So we'll definitely touch base, and we can move forward, because I'm not sure if I've gotten her information.
Okay. Sure. We'll do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I shared the information with Sierra, so she's good. Dolores.
I'm looking at the time. There's only 10 minutes.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, Sierra just called me, so I'm looking at the time. Since there's 5 minutes, I do not see now that your email is here. I would like to connect with you. Like other families have said, it makes sense for us to the access, the availability, the connection. All of that is wonderful to have, provided our ARC has the capacity to, like one quick question. So when I go from another provider to the ARC provider from right now Southern Maryland, will you be drawing your own behavior plan, or you'll be working with the existing one, or how our PCP meeting is in summertime? Of course, I can call PCT meeting any day, any time,
Mhm.
but I can connect with the and one just question is looking at the time, just the timeline.
You're fine.
How long does it take for you to transition from one agency to in the ARC?
That's a really good question. One, please don't worry about the time. If you all are still available, I have time to continue on for a bit. Two, that's a very good question. I haven't had the opportunity to do a transition just yet, but I do know that we would have to resubmit a DSAT. We would have to go through that entire process again, because it's almost like we would be taking out ARC of Southern Maryland and putting ARC PG under BSS on their PCP, which will require that we fill out new paperwork, all that good stuff. I would not carry over their plan from ARC of Southern Maryland. I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, I would not carry over that plan. I have a different lens with looking at things, and so I like to start fresh. Many of our folks haven't had a formal assessment for over 3-4 years, so I just would want to make sure that they're up to date in that regard. What I can say though, is I have had to do a switch from ARC of Southern Maryland to us for someone that hadn't had a plan just yet. And it took a little bit of time. But I think I have a good enough relationship with the regional office now to push some things through, because again, they've been used to how ARC of Southern Maryland writes things. So it took them some time to kind of review how I was conceptualizing stuff. And that took us about a month. So my hope is that we'd be able to make that transition pretty quickly. That way we can keep the continuity going.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions for Miss Sierra while we have her here? Good.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank
You
you.
guys have wonderful questions.
Yep. I will send an email out sharing Sierra's information again if you did not get it, and any updates in regard to this meeting. So Sierra, thank you so much for joining us. Much
Thank you.
obliged.
Mhm.
Enjoy the
Yes.
rest of your day.
Oh,
Family
Happy
members don't go
Thanksgiving,
anywhere.
everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, wait,
Thank
family
you so
members
very
don't
much.
go anywhere yet. Don't go, family members stay. I got 5 more minutes.
Yeah, we
We'll
are
be
here. We are
talking.
here.
Just 5. Dolores, you probably won't be, well, you can't see what I'm showing, but I just wanted to recap that starting December 1st, we're going to be using the family documentation within iCare.
Watch the screen.
So I was going to show y'all a quick how to do that, and pretty much, yeah, a quick how to do the family documentation in iCare. And everybody, I think everybody here understands that purpose, because I'm pretty sure during each one of my meetings, one-on-one with you, I explained the purpose behind the family documentation, correct? Does everybody understand the whole purpose of that? Okay, cool beans. So let me share my screen. All right. So effective December 1st, the family documentation will be live. I actually went ahead today and I loaded it onto everybody's profile in Care Tracker. So essentially, what's going to happen is you're going to go to Care Tracker, and I'll send out the how-to documentation too, like with the getting into iCare part of this. So under the Care Tracker, you're going to have a family documentation, and you're actually going to see a button. So just like staff, you're going to be able to go in and click that as needed. This as needed, you can go in and do 20 a day if you wanted to. I probably wouldn't recommend it because that manager will get 20 notifications from that. So once you click that, you're going to have a service provided. So you're just going to select family documentation. For time taken, it does not matter for you. This is specifically for staff, but we require all staff in our agency. It's mandated that they put in, the time frame that they're for their hours worked with that person. So for you, you can just click that one up arrow next to the minute, That's all that counts. And from there, you type in your note to the manager. So whatever you want to ask, or if you're following up on something, asking about, did you get my Christmas cash for the Christmas event? Or I'm following up on an appointment from last week. I need the documents for that appointment. Anything of that nature. Just keep it PC when you're documenting. So, friendly conversations, saying hi, just be professional. And over here we have a protocol too, which is essentially the same thing. Just be observant and, confidential respect. The supervisors are required. I did make the announcement the first of this month to all the supervisors, so they are aware that this is coming. So they will be on the lookout for your notes. So type in whatever you'd like, and then you're gonna click done. After that happens, that supervisor is going to get a notification. And if you watch my watch for a second, I should get a notification because I just did that. Yep, there's that notification. So got that notification. I'm the supervisor. I'm now going to be prompted to go in here and look at the note. And then the supervisor is either going to call you, email you, or send you a message in iCare. Whichever three, that's up to how y'all want to handle the communication, but the supervisor cannot communicate back to you within what you just did. I just want to make sure y'all understand that. And one of the other main purposes of this is accountability. So when you send messages, emails, it's a one-way street. I can't look at a supervisor's email, right? If I want to make, the whole purpose is, you're asking, I'm seeing this as you're asking them for something that needs a response. So, and generally, you can go back to the emails, but hey, I didn't get your email, or something of that nature, or, 2 weeks later, oh, I just got your message. With this, it's transparent, it's open, and we know that it works and they should be following this process. So on that note, all of the supervisors, the directors, myself, quality assurance have access to this. So something were to happen or some important communication, that you needed to get to the supervisor, that you needed documented, and you never heard back, we can intervene and find out why that happened. Right? So does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Ryan, quick question. Supervisor means the program manager?
Yep.
So it will only go to one program manager?
Well, so it's set up, yes. Program manager so some of the people we have here were duly supported. So they attend our day program as well, or personal supports. So it's program manager is residential specific, but our day deployment, we call them, I think, a service coordinator. There's different names, but the supervisor that's above, watching over top of that person.
So so if anything that I need to send a message to the DSP, I don't know who is working that day, who is not. Like for example, just my daughter, I had registered her for the Park and Planning Halloween party. I was out of town. I just happened to ask when I went there, ask the DSP who typically works that shift in the daytime, and how did Joyce do at the Halloween party? Found out Joyce did not go. So what I'm saying is, unfortunately, it's not her fault. She did not know about it. So my question is there any way that there'll be like somebody say anyway, the generic message, Joyce has Halloween party, it's all paid for and registered. Please take her to this place or something like that. Like, is it possible to send a message to the whole staff or all the DSP so that everybody knows that Joyce has a event to go to, or like a doctor's appointment?
So there is, but unfortunately, it opens up a window to let's just say iCare does have a house messaging or a program messaging, but it's a permission issue. If I were to give y'all permission for this, remember what we're doing with iCare was actually not made to be for families. Everything that we're doing is just from my head that I can see that, and it works. So we have to kind of work around the way eye care works. So with that question, that it is available, but it's going to open up a can of worms, which I don't want to open to that extent. But to make it easier for you to understand who's working with that person, but logically, is I would actually look through the care tracker notes, because generally we have in all of our residential houses, there's generally one person that's a 7 to 3, or multiple people, and one person's 3 to 11, one person's 11 to 7, and that's Sunday through Thursday, and that's the full-time worker. And then from Thursday evening to Saturday evening, I think, that's the part-time overnight worker, right? So, in same context with the weekend worker, we have people that work weekends 7 to 11 or 7 to 3. But looking at the initials, when you're looking at the with the documentation, you can just usually logically see there's a pattern of that person's working with that person, because generally that doesn't change. I mean, I hope not frequently, but it really shouldn't change that often. Does that make sense?
Yes, I can. I'm glad that, of course, we can track who is working. And I mean, typically, I know the regular staff is only usually weekends. I think there's a lot of change. But my question was, in case if the house manager was on vacation, or something, that is there any second way of letting them know? I felt bad. I should have reminded the staff.
Now,
But even though, so.
So let me. So actually, there is something I'm working with our IT manager with that is like was it Maiden? It's not active yet, but we're making emails that are linked with the staff that will be able to go in. These are all the people that are at the house. So it would actually that's coming in the future. I need to talk to the IT manager if this is something we're allowed, because right now it's only for internal messaging. But let me see what I can do, and that could solve your issue right there too.
Okay, thank you.
So that's a quick idea I have. It could work. Let's see. But yeah, that's the best answer I can give you for now.
Yeah, I like that idea, Ryan, because it's good to know who's on staff, when they're there. And I know we can track it in iCare, but being able to communicate individually with the various staff, that could be very helpful. But Ryan, when you put in a message into the iCare, when do you get the response? How do you get the response?
It's immediately. So
and it's in iCare?
Yeah. So all right. So let me just show you what I'm talking about the can of worms, just so I like to be transparent. So
okay,
I can enable this for y'all in messaging. So in messaging, there's an option where you can send to programs, which would work for y'all if you want to send it to Kavanaugh. There. But the whole problem with that is you have access to other things like roles and groups. So for the sake of things, I don't want you to accidentally send a message to that extent.
You need to isolate it. I understand. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm trying to think. I'm gonna think on that one though for you. I mean that's a great question, because I would prefer it to be in iCare, because the email group is not 100% accurate. Anything in iCare, 100% accurate. That's the biggest thing. So let me think on that.
Well, in iCare, when you click on the initials of the person, you have their name. And why not link the email with that name?
So, actually, sorry.
Does that make sense?
Knocking on my door when you were, sorry, ask that one more time.
I said, when you go into iCare and you look at the different shifts, you've got the initial of the person who is inputting the information for that particular shift. Why not have their email accessible with their name as well?
Well, that's a limitation of iCare. Remember, iCare is not meant to do what we're doing right now.
Okay.
But going back to your message, so let me just hop onto my account real quick, and I'm gonna
Okay.
go to messages. So, and I mean, the messages are straight up just a quick, well, here, if I do Arc Family, and this is everybody here, these messages are instantaneous. So once I click send, everybody here is going to get that. So going back to what I was saying with when did they get, you were asking about when they got your message. So,
Yeah, when they get the message and then when the reply
How do you get the
comes.
reply?
How do you get
So-
the reply?
yeah, so in iCare, when you send it, it's all of it's instant. It's just like email. It's just straight up instant. But
Yeah.
going back to iCare, knowing when they read your message, you have the read receipts button. So in your message at the top right, you
Okay.
know when that person read that message.
Okay. Okay. And then you go back into iCare to look for a response.
Yep. And you should, well, actually, you know what? One thing I did not do. Actually, let me do that. Actually, I got another fix for your thing. Every one of your profiles, I can enable notifications, and I'll add your email in there. And when you get a message in iCare, you'll get an email, just like I got mine on my watch.
Okay, well, here's the
That's very
thing.
good. That's very good, Ryan. Yeah.
That's an easy one to do. I can do that for you. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
easy.
Ryan, I noticed that, when you go into iCare and there isn't activity on your part for a certain amount of time, you're bounced out of it. You have to go back in and put your name and your password. Yeah, you have to log in, right? Yeah, technical term. When I've got my email up on my computer, my email sits there all day and I just have to click. But iCare, you have to log back in. Is there any way to have it function like email where you can stay logged in for longer periods of time?
I'm recommending you look into something called a password manager. So if you notice, if I click right here,
Yeah.
I have all of my accounts saved, right?
Okay.
And
Right.
what this is I actually use something called 1Password. So this one actually has all of my passwords for my personal, work, everything. And what it does essentially is it'll pull your information from your browser, your phone, wherever you want. And you have one large password. So one big password that unlocks all of your passwords. So that's my tech tip. So it's called 1Password. I personally use it. I love it. But it's a secure sign-in for a password manager that saves all of your passwords, so you're never having to go in and remember your passwords anymore.
Okay.
It's a godsend. Like it saved me so much time. It makes your life extremely easy.
Okay, I'll look into that. Thank you.
No problem. No
I
problem.
need that. I need that desperately.
Yeah. I recommend the paid version. It's like $30 for the year. Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Ryan, I just wanted to confirm what you said, that we would get a response through iCare
You'll get an
And-
email saying you'll have a notification.
and we would access that the same way it would be the same steps to get that email as to send an email. We just,
No,
Go-
it'll be an automated email from iCare. Let me pull up one.
I mean, how do we get the response? The response will be in iCare?
Well, the response will be on iCare, but you'll get an email saying you have a response.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a better. Give me a second. I'm trying to get you actual so you can see what it looks like.
Means
Well,
that
actually, well,
you're-
it'll be like
you're-
this. I mean, similar to this.
Yeah.
It'll be similar to this,
Oh, God bless me.
but it'll say you have a new notification in iCare.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Understood.
And the meal and the mealtime thing, I'm still waiting to get with our nurse for that. Just FYI, it's coming. Our nursing side of things can be quite chaotic. So getting a hold of them and sitting down with them for a good while and developing the diet and mealtime
Yeah.
thing that we talked about for residential. I'm trying to book with the director of nursing. So that's coming.
Okay,
I'm
that's good
hoping-
to know.
Yeah, that is.
Work in progress.
Okay.
Any questions or advice, enhancements, feedback from y'all? Dolores, you're new here to the eye care
Yeah.
family. What do you
Mhm.
think so far?
I wish I was on where I can see what your.
I'm gonna share the video
Okay.
later today.
Great.
Yeah. Unfortunately, everything. Yeah, it's not making much context for everything you're hearing right now.
Okay, great. And also, if you can, could you send me the information for Sierra, the specialist?
Oh,
Since I need to
100%.
speak-
Everybody will have
Yeah.
all of that
I need to
information.
speak with her. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the date for your next meeting, so I can mark my calendar for that, please.
Good idea.
Oh, it should be, well, it's December 18th, I think. Let me double check. December 19th is the next meeting. And what we're also inviting, so we have kind of more so residential for this topic, but it kind of applies to the whole agency. But I'm inviting our person-centered planning coordinator, Keisha Fells, to kind of talk about what we're doing right now with the person-centered PCPs, and how we actually have, like, she's a new position. Well, not new. We've had this position for a couple of years now, but where we have somebody specifically assigned to help develop plans for the people we support. Prior, it was just the manager, but she's more strictly, that's all she does. So it makes it much more centered. And it's hopefully coming soon to our other departments. But right now, it's residential. But she's gonna help. She's gonna come in and talk about her side of things, like Sierra.
You're a terrific source of information about what's going on inside of ARC. I really feel like we're privileged in that regard.
Yeah.
I love sharing information.
I agree. Brian,
You're
thank
right.
you. All
You
of
know what,
this is fabulous.
I do have a question about the day. I know you had mentioned a while ago that perhaps we would be able to get information about the day program. That they would be, because right now I guess that's kind of vacant.
Wait. Only if they're supported by us. So so we have a few
Well,
members.
no. I mean for the ARC. For the ARC.
You should be able to see if we have a day if your person. Let me check. You should be able to see that. If so, give me a second. Give me 2 seconds. So let me stop sharing real quick. But who here has a loved one that goes to Laurel Day Program, MLK, or Bridges? So Lisa. So Alberta, you're not seeing that?
Nope. Now, unless I'm not looking in the right place, but no.
I think I am seeing it. I mean, I was able to see what Adie was doing from day to day, that one day she couldn't pet the animals and, got upset. So
Let me check something on my end from McCoy. Developments. Yeah. So
There is information.
yep, it's under Community Development Services 1-to-1.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep. If not, reach out to me, but I'm 99.9% sure
Gotcha.
you should be able to see it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No. This is Dolores. I'm signing off. I have to leave right now.
All right,
And thank
Dolores,
you.
take care.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
you.
All right, so
Brian,
if we're good.
I have one question. If there is an incident report, does it show up on the iCare?
We do have incident reportings built in iCare, but that's QA supervisor access. So that's something that we can't share right now.
Okay.
That will be that'll be a hard one. That'll be a tough one. That's quality and compliance. So we can add it to the list and I can talk with them. But like I said, a lot of the stuff that we have in iCare, like I said, everything that we're using was not made to do what it's doing. So the incident
Okay.
reporting, that one actually kind of scares me, to be honest. I don't want to mess with that one because that opens up a lot of stuff. But your
shouldn't the-
CCS, your
But shouldn't the
CCS should
family
be
have
releasing
access?
information.
I mean,
Sorry?
shouldn't the family have access to that if there's an incident?
So, which I was going back. So through your CCS coordinator, they so once the incident happens with us, we actually send them that information, and they have it in their system. So they should be able to share that with you, 100%.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's the best I can give for that answer. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Well, you've done wonders, so, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's
Anytime, no problem.
really
All right.
right. Fabulous.
Thank you.
Have a good Thanksgiving and
All right,
we'll
likewise.
see you next month.
See you next month.
This is a great,
There's a family meeting, no, there's a family meeting tomorrow,
yes, there is at 1
Oh,
o'clock.
residential. Yep.
residential, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a 3 year or
What, I have it as 1 o'clock?
I have 1 o'clock on my calendar.
1 o'clock. Yeah.
I didn't register. I'll be on, but yeah, I'll be there. All right, I'll see y'all then.
Good.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.